Hi, I'm Dave Hughes and welcome to my shop. Today I'd like to take a little bit of your time and introduce to you a brand new jig that we just came out with. What we have here is our Easy Align Shelf Pin Jig by Fulton Tools. What they've done is they've taken out the hassle of drilling those holes for your shelf pins. Now the biggest problem that I find in my shop is being able to drill one hole is real simple. Getting the other three holes to align at the exact same height around the inside of my cabinet is the most challenging part. If you don't get all four holes exactly the same height, when you insert that shelf, all it does is rock around on you, and that's not a very attractive project. So let me show you what makes the Fulton jig so much different than everything else out in the marketplace. The first thing is that they built the drilling jig out of a clear acrylic. That acrylic allows us to see through our project and make it real simple to align that starting point. The second thing that they've done is they've mirrored the left side with the right side. That makes this jig incredibly easy to get all of your holes to align to the same mark. Now, what makes it unique is how we adjust this from side to side. It comes with two T-tracks. By loosening up these two knobs, we can adjust our shelf pin jig down to handle cabinets as little as 7 inches wide, all the way out to 26 inches wide. The reason why we built this so wide is your average kitchen cabinet base cabinet is 25 inches wide, and this will handle it for you with no problems at all. The other thing that we've done for you is that we wanted to make it long lasting, and we wanted to make it so that you could handle both size shelf pins. The two most popular shelf pins in the marketplace are 5mm and 1/4 inch, and this jig does both of them. How did we accomplish that? Well, the first thing is we redesigned the self-centering drill bit. We designed this drill bit so it will not damage this jig, which means this jig is going to last you a lifetime. How do we do that? We put a hardened steel bushing on the outside edge, and that hardened steel bushing fits into the perfectly CNC milled holes. You can see that drill bit fits in there perfectly with no wobble and no jiggle around, and as we push down on that, it gives us a perfect center without contacting the sides of our drilling jig. Now the other thing that bushing does for you is whether I'm using a 5mm drill bit or I'm using a 1/4 inch drill bit, it aligns it perfectly center every single time. Now when you look down on our jig, you'll also see that we've added 2 rows on both sides of the jig. Now the reason why we've given you 2 rows is because sometimes you're going to be doing cabinets that are already assembled. Let's say you find an old cabinet and you'd like to add some shelves into this cabinet. Well, you need to have the holes matching. When you do that, you're going to put this outside edge, in other words, the black bar here, the alignment bar, up against the side of the cabinet, like so. When you do that, you're going to use the A column. The A column gives you a perfect 37mm distance from the outside edge of our jig to the center of the hole. Now, if you're doing a project like I've got right here, which is a cabinet that is not assembled, we're going to line it up so that our piece is on the inside edge of that alignment bar, and then we're going to use column B to drill our holes. Now, this jig is also reversible. On this side of our jig is the 37mm distance from those edges. If we reverse this alignment bar and put it on the opposite side and switch these two around, our distance becomes 50mm from the edge. And we usually use the 50mm distance if we're working on larger cabinets with wider shelves, and you want to get that shelf pin a little bit further in on the cabinet. Now, what happens if our project is longer than this board that you see here? Right now I've drilled these holes. This board's about 20 inches long. In most cases, a base cabinet's about 30 inches or 34 inches in length, or it could be even longer than that. So let me show you how easy this thing is to work. I've got a board here that's about 30 inches in length. We're going to set that underneath our jig. We're going to place a mark on our board where we want the very first hole, and that's the only thing you ever have to mark. Loosen up your 2 knobs. We're going to slide these 2 together until we touch parallel on both sides and lock that knob in place. Now once we lock that in place, those 2 guide bars act like a rail, and notice how this will travel perfectly straight without twisting on the side of our cabinet. Because our jig is clear, all we do then is slide this down, to the very first mark that you can see there on the column B until we're right where we want to drill that first shelf pin. And we're ready to go. Now I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Do I need to clamp this? Absolutely not. Because the jig holds the bit and keeps it from walking, it's real simple to get started. So let me go ahead and show you. I've got my 1/4 inch bit in here. We place that into the jig and we drill that first hole. Now, there is a chance that this jig can move if you don't clamp it. Well, we've thought of that for you. Included in your system, you get 2 alignment pins. On the alignment pin, you'll see one size is for the 5mm, the other side here is for the 1/4 inch. After we drill that first hole, we take that alignment pin, we insert that in the hole, and that keeps this jig from moving. It no longer can slide back and forth. What we do then is come over to the other side of the jig, do the exact same thing, drill that hole, take our alignment pin, and basically insert it in there. With those 2 alignment pins in place, this jig cannot move anywhere. And all we need to do is drill the rest of the holes. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go, we've drilled all those holes. Now if you take notice here, you'll see that my side of my cabinet extends further than the actual jig. That's no problem. Here's how simple it is to finish drilling these holes. Pull out your 2 alignment pins, take your shelf pin jig, and slide it down your project till you get to the furthest point. Line that up with the 2 holes that you drilled there. Take that same 1/4 inch alignment pin and insert it back into that hole, and guess what? It automatically spaces it out all the way down our project, just like so. And we're ready to finish drilling all these holes. And that was the last of them. All we need to do now is remove those 2 alignment pins, take our shelf pin jig and lift it off our project, and we're all set. As you can see, we've got perfectly straight, perfectly centered, and perfectly aligned shelf pin holes. The project that I've been working on here is only about 30 inches long, but if you had a cabinet that is 6 feet long, or the side of the cabinet 6 feet long, 8 feet long, 10 feet long, all you do is keep repeating that process down and you'll have perfectly aligned holes. Now, included in this system, you're going to receive the shelf pin jig that you see down here on the workbench. You get your left and your right side. You also receive those rails that allow us to adjust the jig and keep them aligned from 7 inches to 26 inches. Also included in the kit, you're going to receive both of those self-centering drill bits. You're going to receive the 5mm and you're going to receive the 1/4 inch. These are the 2 most popular holes for the shelf pins. And included, you receive 2 of those alignment pins. Overall, I think this is probably the most handiest jig that I've ever purchased from my shop. And I think you'll find out the same thing. I'm Dave Hughes, and thanks for watching.